Hello everybody, Adam here, and before we get into today's bonus episode, just two things I want to talk about very quickly. The first is to say thank you. Thank you first and foremost to all of our listeners for engaging with the show, for listening to the stories we want to tell. We've been doing this for a year now, and we never imagined that when we started this, people would want to listen to our particular brand of nonsense. The fact that you keep coming back episode after episode, listening to our story, engaging with us, it means the world to us, it really does. And a special thank you to those of you who support the show financially. Because of your generosity, currently the essential running costs of the show are covered, and more importantly, we've already been able to make a couple of improvements to the show going forward. The first is we've commissioned some artwork from Kim Kogut from the Magpies podcast for our Season 3 heroes, and you'll start to see that appearing on our Twitter feed and our headers as Season 3 gets going. We've also been able to buy a new recording rig, which we'll be starting using from episode 4 onwards, which will hopefully show yet another improvement in our sound quality to make it a little bit easier for everyone to enjoy. So, thank you very much to Heather, to Ash, to Brendan, to Britt, to Ben, to Mal, to Liz. Thank you so much for supporting the show financially. It really does mean a lot to us. The second thing I want to say is this. We've now hit our first anniversary and we celebrated it with the crossover episode from the Hydian Way. We're about to hit Season 3 and that means our anniversary competition giveaway needs a winner. Just a reminder, the prizes are a custom adventure journal from Silverwing Armories, a dice bag and dice rolling tray of your choice from our friends at Board Game Solution, and now that we've started doing merchandise, oh yeah, we've got merch now. Check out our website for a link. We're going to throw in a couple of stickers to go along with that, as well as just a little bit of something else for you all. So, it is time to fire up the random competition winner generator, by which I mean a dice, and our winner is Mal Hazel. Congratulations, Mal. Thank you very much for getting involved. We'll be in touch to sort out your prizes soon. Right, all this nonsense aside, you know how it goes. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to Force Majeure, an actual play Star Wars podcast. My name is Adam and I'm your host and the GM for the upcoming Season 3, Chapter 2 of the Coldfire Chronicles. This is a bonus episode wherein we're going to recap what's happened so far and talk to our players about their morality scores and how that's changed going into Season 3. I am joined by...
Hi, I'm Mim and I play Lassa. She is a human sentinel artisan. My strength is curiosity and my weakness is obsession.
Hi, I'm Ross. I'm playing Agatha. I'm an island warrior aggressor whose emotional strength is his pride and weakness is his anger.
Hi, my name is Ed Fortune and I play Oberon Brick. I'm a human hunter. My moral feeling is a sense of cruelty, and my moral strength is my sense of justice.
Hi, I'm Mikey. I'm playing Jiren, a Chiss mystic advisor. His emotional strength is his enthusiasm, and his emotional weakness is his recklessness.
Previously, in Chapter 1 of the Coldfire Chronicles. The planet of Ancus in the Mid-Rim is largely unremarkable, and its many moons even more so. All of its moons, that is, save the frozen satellite of Daxos, which has long been a final refuge for hardy individuals who desire solitude and a life free from complications. The only major settlement on Daxos is an Imperial labour camp, where prisoners toil mining ice, and a few independents scratch out a living. It is around this prison that our story began, as 4 emergent Force-sensitive inhabitants, 3 criminals and an independent engineer, journeyed to the home of their mentor who had asked to speak to them all urgently. Upon arrival, they discovered that their mentor, a grizzled survivalist and hunter named Pyjak, was missing. While searching for a clue to his whereabouts, Lassa and Oberon had their first inkling that something more sinister was afoot, a vision of a threatening figure made of smoke and hatred. Leaving Pyjak's compound, our heroes travel to Lassa's shack to take stock of the situation and to shelter from an incoming ice storm. After a few navigational mishaps, they arrived and, over a hot cup of tea, Lasser discovered that Pyjak had been arrested by the Imperials and was being held at the prison compound. Lasser also discovered that their mentor was not all he appeared to be, as she decoded a message from the Rebel Alliance warning Pyjak that an Inquisitor was coming and that he needed to gather his wards and escape. A plan was formed to break Pyjak out of prison, and our heroes travelled to the Imperial compound, using Lasser's official credentials and knowledge of maintenance hatches to infiltrate the team. While there, they met a Chadrafan slave named Prinkle and enlisted his assistance in freeing Pyjak. After a tense journey through the heating vents and a brief scrap with the jailers, Pyjak was freed from captivity. Badly beaten and suffering from his time at Imperial hands, our heroes knew that Pyjak would not survive a walk back to his compound, and so our heroes stole some land speeders and made good their escape. Back at Pyjak's compound, he recovered enough to speak to his wards, and a number of revelations were revealed. He was a surviving clone trooper, hiding out here following the death of his Jedi Master Davarin Coldfire, and having burned out following a stint with the Rebel Alliance. His warship was hidden below the compound, waiting to take his wards off planet, because the sinister figure, now known to be an Imperial Inquisitor named 10th Brother, knew they were Force sensitive, and was coming for them. But his warning was too late. As his ship, Coldfire's Mercy, warmed up from a long period of dormancy, 10th Brother arrived at the compound and triggered the latent control words of Order 66 buried deep within Pyjak, turning him against our heroes. They managed to subdue him and drag him onto the ship, escaping from the compound just before 10th Brother breached their defences and confronted them in person. Blasting his shuttle to pieces to buy them some time, our heroes jumped to hyperspace, heading to the smuggler's base of Port Haven and a contact from Pyjak's past. Dun dun dun!
That was good. That was really good.
That's all terribly dramatic.
I ain't nobody's ward. I'm a friend.
You kept saying heroes. I do not understand those. I think we discussed we are pro or anti-tagonist.
You're an antagonist of some variety.
Yes, we are tagonist adjacent.
He antagonises me.
I do.
So, now moving on to morality. I've totted up, my dear players, the number of dark side points used as a baseline for what's going on. But there were a few other key points that I want to address with each of you in character that might or might not tip your morality loss up or down a little. And since you were the first one to start with introductions, let's start with Lasser.
Oh dear.
So, you were the only member of our protagonists who was not already a criminal.
That's correct.
Repeatedly, throughout the adventure, you tiptoed closer and closer to that line before finally admitting that you were just as criminal as the rest of these people, stepping foot over the line, breaking a prisoner out from Imperial custody, attacking a representative of the Emperor, and fleeing into hyperspace. How's Lasser feeling about that?
To be honest, I reckon I had good reasons for everything that happened. I've become a victim of circumstance, because it's very hard to be on a side that is trying to kill you. You know, not that I was ever for the Empire. I've always been more for government staying out of people's ways. But now I'm in the firing sights, so I'll do my best to get by and get along.
Okay. Factoring that in, along with other actions you've done, your current conflict from Season 1 is a fairly meagre 4. So if you can roll me a d10, please, and tell me what you get. For listeners, how morality works is when you've totted up your conflict, you then roll a d10, you subtract your conflict from your d10, and that is how much your morality either goes up for a positive number or down for a negative number. What did you roll?
I rolled a 4.
So your morality hasn't changed at all then?
Absolutely not. I have perfectly rationalised why everything I've done is not bad because I'm the one that's done it and because of the situation. But you're still criminals.
Moving on to you now, Ross. So you used a few dark side points throughout the course of Chapter 1. Not as many as others, he says, squinting and glaring at Oberon. But you used a few. And also, being who you are, the fact that your first resort in a lot of cases was through to violence, I've factored that in. But also the fact that what you were mostly doing was to knock unconscious rather than to kill, you know, I've borne all that in mind. But my question to you, Agatha, is this. Your emotional strength, the thing that powers you, the thing that keeps you focused is pride. Yet all the way through the unfolding events of Chapter 1, you were a follower. You did what you were told. How does that square up with your pride in yourself?
Agatha is a very proud follower. Agatha's mostly been a follower most of his life, so he's proud of the job he's been given to do most of the time. And he's not usually the type to set a direction. He's usually the type to let other people set the direction, and he's just going to, you want me to punch a hole through that? I'll punch a hole through that. Proud of the job he's done.
Okay, so it's pride in your work rather than...
I don't think he's got any specific ambitions at this point, rather than to... Yeah, there's no... Sorry.
If you're going to knock someone unconscious, you're going to make it the best unconscious person you can.
There we go.
You need to say that, not me.
Are you proud for being the person that gets the job done? You're reliable, and that's your pride.
Agatha is very proud of being reliable. Agatha likes it when there's something big he can hit. Agatha's been very good at hitting things and shouting at things to try and scare them.
Okay, that seems perfectly reasonable. From your dark side point usage and other bits and bats, your total morality hit to begin with is 5. Can you please roll me a d10?
I've rolled a 5.
So, once again, no change in your morality score at the start of Season 2.
Agatha's been completely consistent.
It's just gone over your head. You can't really understand good or bad. He's like, I hit things.
Now on to the people who understand good or bad.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It's your turn!
Ed.
Yes.
More than anyone else in Season 1, Oberon's actions have not married up with his use of the Force. I think it's safe to say, actually, that of everyone, really, in Chapter 1, Oberon seemed to be the one striving most towards the light. But at the same time, drew on the dark side, heedlessly, recklessly, just for that little edge each time, where you'd rather something bad happen than nothing happen at all.
Daddy issues. Still. Like, the character has some serious concerns. And, like, is trying to figure out what is actually wrong and right still. Like, you know, he's essentially from Team Evil. And has been raised by Team Evil and is still kind of figuring out that maybe, you know, murder and genocide are bad.
Oh my gosh, you're the new She-Ra. What do you mean this realm of darkness is the evil place? What do you mean that Fright Vale isn't a lovely place to be in the springtime?
What do you mean chasing the peasant isn't a family sport? Surely everyone enjoys it.
Except the peasants, but they're peasants, what do they know? So, your emotional weakness is your cruelty.
Yep.
And I think that particularly came out in the fight against the Wampa, where you shot to cripple rather than to kill.
Yep.
What do you have to say about that then?
Oberon is still trying to figure out where he is and who he is. The thing that's changing him is the fact that he actually has people around him who might actually be friends. He's actually starting to understand other people rather than people who are just toadies. And at the risk of someone staring at me going, yes, he's understood the power of friendship, but he's actually starting to get to that point where he's understanding human relationships and non-human relationships.
Thank you.
It's aliens are people too. Who knew? Oh my word. So it's all a bit of a revelation that actually the people who are on his side are not the people who were told were on his side, because the people who he was raised to believe were on his side sent him to jail for saying no to doing something cruel, because that's why he's there. So, yeah, but he looked at the Wampa and just assumed it was a thing, so killed it.
Fair enough. So, factoring in everything from Season 1, your conflict at the moment is 8. Can you please roll me your d10?
3.
So your morality goes down by 5.
Oh.
Alright, still doing pretty well. And last but not least, J-Ren.
Hello.
So, you used a couple of dark side points throughout the course of that one, so that's straight away.
Yep.
For me, the main kind of point, and I think it was a turning point as well for the character, really. I think it was the first point, as we'd previously discussed, where the character realised that he maybe had some actual powers. And it was while you were escaping from the Imperial base, and you absolutely dominated poor old Jacob with your will.
Now, to be fair, I did not think it was going to work. I just thought I was going to be, please let us out, and he was going to. I didn't think there was going to be blood from his eyes and him going all zombified. It was a thing that shook me. Really, I was not prepared for it, and I will really be considering if I ever have to use that power again. It is a little bit terrifying that if you come into this world as hey, I'm a charismatic guy, everybody likes me, and now suddenly I can control their minds. Maybe I am not such a charismatic guy. Maybe I have this mind control thing which makes me maybe the bad guy. Have I been controlling everybody all this time? I do not know. We shall see. It is it's a bit strange,
Okay. Your starting conflict is 3.
I rolled a 2.
So your morality goes down by 1 then.
Yeah, I'm very conflicted, you see.
So as we head into the episode 1 proper and start the show properly, our conflict scores around the table are Lasser and Agatha are still on 50 morality, like the good little force users they presently are.
I think we're winning.
Oberon is on 45.
No!
And Jaren is on 49.
I do not really understand morality.
Okay, well that's it for this little bonus episode. Tune in next time and we will start the story properly.
All right, go put kettle on. Listen to the next one.
Thank you very much for listening and we'll see you next time. Force Majeure is played using the Star Wars Force and Destiny game system by Fantasy Flight Games and Lucas Books. Our intro music for this season is Unholy Night by Kevin MacLeod, and our outro music remains Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale, both used with gratitude under the Creative Commons license. If you like the show and want to interact with us, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, all of which are at Force Majeure Pod, though Twitter is probably where you're going to find us more regularly. If you enjoy what we do and want to support the show, there's 3 ways you can do that. The first is via our Patreon at patreon.com/forcemajeurepod. The second is by buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/forcemajeurepod. And the third way is by rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find us. We really like reviews. It tells us that we're telling the stories that you want to hear and helps other people find us. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.